For the first time ever, Duke will be the center of not the college basketball world, but the college football world, as they are set to host College Game Day for the first time in program history as the 17th ranked Blue Devils host number 11 Notre Dame. This is an epic matchup with major implications. And the question now is, can Duke's magical season continue with another massive home victory? Or will Notre Dame get back on track after that heartbreaking loss to Ohio State? That is the question that we're going to answer today. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad that you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, especially those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. You do not want to miss out on those picks, guys. We beat out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 5 years. We went a perfect 10-0, undefeated against the spread last week. We can guarantee we're going to have another massive week this week. Do not miss out. Go sign up today. Full year-long subscription for guaranteed winnings, guaranteed winning record, best customer service in the business. And if you sign up before the end of the week, you will be entered to win a full year-long, free year-long subscription for next year. So take advantage of that deal, guys. You do not want to miss out. Also, check out the Patreon account and check out our mailing address, too, to send us some of your team's gear to be featured in every single Gridiron Expert video. So let's take a look at this game, guys. I think if you had told me, a couple weeks ago, definitely before the season started, that Notre Dame and Duke was going to be a top 20 matchup, I probably wouldn't have believed you. Notre Dame being ranked 11th in the country, that's no shock, right? We knew the Fighting Irish were going to be good. I don't know if any of us expected Duke to be where they are now. I'm sure many of us thought they'd lose to Clemson in week 1, not beat them by 21 points. Yet here we are. You take a look at both these teams. We'll start with Notre Dame. The question for them is, how will they respond following that heartbreaking loss to Ohio State, losing that game literally with 1 second left on the clock? It was a heartbreaking, terrible way to lose in a very physical matchup. And you take a look at Notre Dame's offense. They were slowed down a little bit against Ohio State's defense, yet still put up 351 yards, 175 through the air, 176 on the ground, about as balanced as you can be. So it wasn't the offensive, juggernaut offensive performance they've been used to seeing from Notre Dame the previous couple weeks, but still put up a solid performance against a stingy defense. Overall, they're averaging over 470 yards per game. Sam Hartman is playing as good as anybody in the country, over 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns, 0 interception. Still has not thrown an interception this year. And Audric Estime, 591 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns on the year. That is, Hartman and Estime, guys, is one of the best duos in the entire country. I don't think we were thinking about that back in the preseason. When you're talking about one of the best running back, quarterback duos in the nation, Sam Hartman, Audric Estime probably didn't come into mind as a top 5 duo or anything like that, but they certainly are now. This is one of the best duos in the country. They have one of the best offensive lines in the country that's only allowed 4 sacks this year. Notre Dame, I expect to have another big day offensively, kind of bouncing back. Even though they put up over 350 yards, that's not a bad day. They're going to be pretty solid and hungry to prove a point, especially also considering Sam Hartman's success against the Blue Devils during his time with Wake Forest. You take a look at Duke. They are an extremely balanced offense. What Mike Elko has done on that side of the ball has been very, very impressive. 224 passing yards per game, 200 rushing yards per game. They've won all 4 of their games this season by at least 21 points. So they're blowing people out of the water. They're not afraid to score. They're not afraid to put up more points than they need to. And really, for Duke, it starts with their quarterback, right? It starts with Riley Leonard, who has been phenomenal this year. 67.7%. He's completing over 67% of his passes, 778 passing yards, just 2 passing touchdowns, but it's also because he's doing so much damage on the ground. Leonard, a dual-threat quarterback, and I feel like people forget that sometimes. He's rushed for over 230 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's only 20 yards behind Duke's leading rusher in Jordan Waters, who has 258 rushing yards on the year. So Waters is dangerous. Riley Leonard is dangerous. He can beat you through the air, but he can certainly beat you on the ground. And he is not easy to take down either. And that's something that Notre Dame is definitely going to have to watch out for defensively, making sure they contain Riley Leonard, not allowing him to pick up any extra yards, first downs, just big-time chunk plays with his legs. He's a dangerous quarterback to stop. 4 players for Duke do have over 100 reception yards on the year, led by Jalen Calhoun. This is, again, a very balanced offense, and you wonder, can that balance, similar to what Ohio State had last week against Notre Dame, can that balance wear down the Fighting Irish defense? When you take a look at Notre Dame's defense, what I like most about this game is that both head coaches, Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame, Mike Elko at Duke, are both defensive-minded coaches. So you know they're scheming up ways to shut down the opposing offenses. You know they're scheming up ways to shut down both teams' very dynamic quarterbacks. You look at Notre Dame, this is a team that still, despite the loss to Ohio State last week, only is giving up 260 yards per game on the year, 149 through the air, 111 on the ground. The biggest key for them, as we just mentioned, is limiting the big plays, limiting the explosive plays, limiting Riley Leonard and the Duke rushing attack. And that was the difference maker last week against Ohio State for the Fighting Irish. They did a pretty decent job of shutting down the Buckeyes. 126 rushing yards, all they allowed. But they allowed a big play. They allowed a 61-yard rushing touchdown, ultimately helping decide the game. That put Ohio State up 10-0. Notre Dame did come back and take a 14-10 lead, but you take away that one massive chunk play and maybe hold them to a field goal, maybe don't let them score at all, and Notre Dame probably wins that game in South Bend. So again, limit the big explosive plays, limit the rushing attack. This is the defense that has 7 sacks on the year. They have 5 forced turnovers on the year. Neither number that exceptional through 4 or 5 games so far this year, but this is a team that, again, if they can shut down the run game, force Riley Leonard to do everything through the air, I like their chances. Leonard can deliver, but I like Notre Dame's chances. You take a look at Duke. Their defense is a bit of a different story, right? Because it's interesting. Duke hasn't played anybody that great. And I know they beat Clemson, right? They've played Clemson, Lafayette, Northwestern, and UConn. Clemson is their best win, and the Tigers are 2-2 and 0-2 in conference play for the first time since 2010. Yes, we know they nearly beat Florida State, should have beat Florida State, but still. This is not the same Clemson team that we've seen in years past, and this is a Clemson team that in the first week of the year was dealing with a new quarterback, a new offensive coordinator, going through a lot of growing pains, and really coughed up the ball, not by any way of Duke. It wasn't really Duke forcing the turnovers. It was just stupid blunders by Clemson. The Blue Devils are giving up 276 yards per game on the year, 143 through the air, 133 on the ground. Notre Dame is the best defense, Notre Dame is the best offense this Duke defense has seen. There's no doubt about that. Sam Hartman, Audric Estime, this offensive line, this is the best offense that Duke's defense has seen all year long. And so I wonder how the Blue Devils will respond for that. How will they find a way to shut down Sam Hartman? Can they force him into his first interception of the year? They have forced 8 turnovers so far this season. They have 8 sacks on the year, but Sam Hartman historically has torched Duke, and I know history doesn't really matter coming into the situation. I know what he did last year against Duke, where he threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Doesn't matter during his time at Wake Forest, but it is something to be of note because the defense is very similar to what we saw last year from the Blue Devils. They have to find a way, if Duke wants to win this game, they have to find a way to force Notre Dame into mistakes. They have to find a way to force fumbles. They have to find a way to get them in second and third and long situations. They've got to find a way to maybe force Sam Hartman's first interception of the year. They've got to find a way to rattle this Notre Dame offense because they are pretty dang good. They are very, very good. And they just faced one heck of a defense at Ohio State. Ohio State's defense probably a tougher out than what they're going to face here against Duke. And if you're Duke, that should concern you a little bit. So what's going to happen, guys? Saturday night, arguably the biggest game of the weekend, right? I mean, it's where college game day is going. It's a historic day for Duke. It's a massive game for both, right? Because if Notre Dame loses this game, their playoff hopes are done. The Ohio State loss has not ruined their college football playoff hopes. They can win out, and they would have to win out, and they can still get in. I believe that. That would include this road game over Duke. That would be a good resume-boosting win. That includes a home game against USC. That includes a road game at Clemson. The opportunities are there, but a loss here ends that. Duke, you win this game, you're undefeated, you jump close to the top 10, if not into it, and people are taking you seriously as a college football playoff contender, genuinely. No doubt about it. It's one of the best teams in the ACC and a playoff contender if they can beat Notre Dame. But unfortunately, I just don't think that happens. I don't think that happens. I love the matchup. I love the stakes. I love the history. I love everything about this game. But I think Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish go on the road and bounce back. They are the better team to me on both sides of the ball. Sam Hartman, to me, is the better quarterback right now than Riley Leonard. And I believe they survive a really, really lively, loud, crazy environment at Duke and escape with a massive victory to keep their college football playoffs alive. I think it's within 10 points, but Notre Dame gets the win. Duke's magical season does not come to an end by any means, but we put a damper on it, at least put a hold on it for now. So there you go, guys. Notre Dame taking down Duke in the game of the week. We want to hear your thoughts and your comments. Leave them down below. And also make sure to check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Again, guaranteed winnings, guaranteed money. Sign up for the end of the week to be entered in our sweepstakes to win a free year of expert picks and guaranteed winnings. Do not miss out on that offer. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.